Lightning strikes in the middle of the night, in a kingdom founded by an oracle. It is common knowledge for a person to act according to the oracle and change the future. Or else their life or kingdom may meet its demise. These oracles can take many forms, even the form of a mere child. To the people they merely relay a message from God. This young platinum hair blonde is the young oracle. The emperor believes that it must be faith that there was a divine prophecy during his reign. She finds him annoying, because it is actually a scam. The emperor considers her a gift from God to his kingdom. But sadly she's just conning him, but she has no intention of telling him the truth. Because he doesn't deserve it, he extends his hand and tells her to come closer. She approaches him and he informs her that she doesn't have to call him Your Majesty anymore. She can call him Father from now on, and it's simple because she's a child of God who delivers divine prophecies. Who is his precious child, now that she has become useful to him? His attitude towards her changed completely. He used to act like she didn't exist because she is a daughter of his mistress. But now he's treating her like his child because she'll be useful to him. She wonders what he would think if she saw her acting this way. Ophelia, she smiles unpleasantly. Unexplained father. He smiles ecstatic to hear those words. He knows she must have felt lonely all that time. She didn't want a father like him, but it's fine, she needs him if she wants to survive in that world. He leaves her up and exclaims that he won't make her feel lonely from now on. No longer will Ophelia suffer in silence. Those who use Ophelia deserve to be used in return. She won't ever let them ruin her again. Pain, it's natural for a protagonist of a story to go through trials. The greater the trial, the greater the reward. That's how it usually works. But if the protagonist's life is nothing but a series of troubles, the readers will get sick of it too. The character has to grow without regressing. It's important that the readers are able to experience a catharsis from satisfying developments and a sense of accomplishment. A great writer balances the trial and rewards in their stories. But not all stories are written so well. Like this story, for instance, the king and the duke are totally incompetent. Because of them the heroine suffers from start to finish and ends up dying. She's supposed to be capable. Yet why does she let people walk all over her? That's a common question. She should have taught those jerks a lesson. The princess of the Rosentine kingdom was used by the men around her only to be because cast aside like a pawn and forgotten. A wretched death was all that awaited her at the end of the novel. That was how Ophelia's life came to a close. A voice suddenly asks in a sad tone filled with despair if she would have done things differently. The reader asked who she is and where she is at. The voice tells her from now on she will be Ophelia instead. The reader angrily tells the voice to let her out. The voice exclaims that she said she wouldn't have lived like her, then she should try living her life. The reader exclaims that she doesn't want to enter that crazy world. The voice inquires if she's talking about what happens in the last chapter. She responds that she should complete the last chapter of the book. The physical form of the person speaking shows herself and it's Ophelia. Ophelia tells her she'll let her choose her starting point. She exclaimed that she doesn't want to go to that crazy world. Ophelia tells her to hurry, they don't have much time. Because this is the last of the power she has left. The reader hears the urgency in her voice and exclaims that she wants to go back to the time before her mother dies. Ophelia wishes her good luck. She hopes she does better than she did. Later on she slowly opens her eyes and sees a platinum blonde hair woman with blue eyes. The person asks what's wrong. She tells the person that she just had a strange dream. But to her shock her womanly voice has been replaced with a baby voice. It seems that she doesn't fully understand what's happening, as she doesn't know why her body has gotten smaller, or she doesn't know where she is. Her mother assures her that everything was just a dream. She tells her she had lots of dreams and she was young at her age. So she shouldn't be scared. She is Galathea, Oracle of the Rosentine Kingdom. She has a warm, gentle voice, beautiful blue eyes, and a platinum blonde hair. She is an oracle who can see into the future of the Rosante kingdom. Suddenly she coughs up blood which splatters on the ground. She's Ophelia's terminally ill mother. She wipes the blood from her mouth and exclaimed that she'll be better soon, so she shouldn't worry. She finally understands that she has truly become Ophelia. She wonders if she'll be used like Ophelia until she dies, but she refused to let that happen. Suddenly a thought comes to her mind. She's a little girl right now. On the Ivory Building is the palace temple. She's also woken up in the time when Ophelia was living in the temple with her mother, away from the eyes of the royal family. Also, the king wouldn't even refer to Ophelia as his daughter in public because he was ashamed of her. This is a time before everything happened. She then tells her mother that she knows that she's not well. She seems surprised that she has figured it out. She tells Galathea that she saw the future and her future self told her that she is queen. To be honest, she hadn't expected her plan to work this well. She may be young, but she's still the daughter of a woman of the temple. Maybe that was why her vision was enough to influence the king's actions. He quickly rushed to her destination when he heard that she claimed to see the future. He asked if it was something that hasn't been seen before. And if so, it must be divine revelation. He wonders if the heaven is granting him an opportunity. He burst inside with his 2 guards and his royal announcer. The ladies bows at his arrival. He looks down at Ophelia menacingly. But she looks into his eyes confidently. He tells her that he heard she received an oracle. He asked if it's true. He tells her to tell him everything. Her mother holds her shoulder, slightly panicking, exclaimed that it was merely a child's dream. Not an oracle. She asked him not to worry about it. She looks at the emperor with disdain, but she knows she should be trying to keep a straight face. When she looks into his eyes, it is proof to her that he had an affair with the abbess when he already had his queen, and as a result she was born. But he is a foolish man with no sense of responsibility. He hid her away all this time because he's scared of what the world will think, but he came running as soon as he heard about her vision. She wonders if he even has a conscience. Well, even so, she needs him right now. If she is going to change her fate, she exclaimed that her future self told her that she is the queen. It's a lie, but having power is the best way. Her mother helps His Majesty remain steady as he almost loses his balance. The way her mother takes care of the king, even though he's been treating her like dirt, it's no wonder she's got taken advantage of. She asks how can she be sure that the woman in her dream was her future self. She wonders why her mother keep questioning her and if she had doubts about her vision. Or if she's worried about the changes that it will bring. She wonders if this is the reason Ophelia always put up with the people who treated her like dirt. However, she refuses to do the same. She raises her hand and explains that she was this tall. She looked exactly like her, only she was an older lady. But her hair and eyes are the same color as hers. It's a good thing platinum blonde hair is rare in the kingdom. She tells her mother that she's sure it was her future self, but she spoke to her in a very mysterious voice. The king understands, as it is consistent with the record passed on from generation to generation in the kingdom. The kingdom records prove that the royal family of Rosantine has always worked with women of the temple. He doesn't tend to believe groundless claims, but their daughter definitely has divine power. Her mother explains a divine power only surfaces in children as the age of 14 or older. He tells her that not necessarily the truth. The first king worked with a 12-year-old girl who possessed divine power to build the kingdom. On fifth king claimed sovereignty from the empire. The girl with divine power was only 10 years old. She wasn't aware of this, but it doesn't matter as the situation is working out in your favor. She then informed the king that the mysterious voice said the kingdom will soon fall to ruin. He and her mother are shocked. He grips his chest, then falls on the chair from the sudden shock. Ophelia approaches him and puts her hand over him. A bright light emanates from her hand. Her mother asks when she had that power. However, she didn't know Ophelia had this much healing power. The king states that the pain is disappearing with her touch. He tells her he's sorry for treating her poorly all the time. So he's going to play the role of a repentant father now. It's a shame, but she won't be moved by such shows of paternal love. Because she was always alone in her previous life. Later on in the night her mother calls her, but her voice makes her shrink without her realizing it. She walks awkwardly and tense towards her. She feels like she did something wrong whenever she calls her. She wonders if this is what having a mother feels like. Or is it just intuition of a woman of the temple? In a stern tone she states that she's worried because she seems to be acting strange these days. She informs her that a woman at the temple should not bring up her vision so casually. And the same goes from any messages from the stars. Divine powers come with much responsibility. After she brought up her vision, the king's attitude towards her changed completely. He now summons her often to chat and visit the palace temple to dine with him. So she took this opportunity to show him that she could read stars. She told him that she looked up at the sky and the stars were a bit strange. He tells her that it's okay to tell him what she saw. She tells him that's a good star that protects the kingdom. Told her that it will be scary when the full moon rises because the star will fade in its light. But the good star promised to shine again after the full moon sets. But it said it wouldn't be able to protect the kingdom from the moon because it will be too big and bright this time around. With teary eyes she states that she's worried that something could happen to him. She thinks to herself that modern science really is great. The king fell for her lie easily. He exclaims that he can't worry his precious daughter like that, so he'll spend the day of the full moon at the temple instead of the queen's palace, and he shall take part in his ritual that cleanses and purifies the soul. He believes that will be in accordance with God's will. She tells him that she's very relieved to hear that. Her mother tells her a woman of the temple must speak of her visions only to protect the royal family of Rosentine. She must remember this rule and make sure not to break it. She decided to pretend to reflect on her actions like a repentant child. She wonders if she knew of the miserable fate that befell her daughter, if she would still be able to say that. She apologizes to her mother and states that she just wanted to see her father more often. She pulls her daughter into a small arm embrace and exclaims that she knows it's all right. And she just wants her to be more careful from now on. She thinks her mother should give it up. She'll do anything to ensure that her faith is better than Ophelia's in the original novel. The king's attitude towards them has changed, and they aren't the only ones who are aware of it. Rumors have already spread within the palace. There's no way that woman didn't hear them. She was furious to hear that His Majesty will be staying at the palace temple and the day of the full moon. But in this time the king and the queen must spend every day of the full moon together under the royal family's law. Her hand trembled in anger to know that His Majesty would break his own law because of a lowly girl. She ordered her guards to bring that filthy child to her first thing tomorrow. She smiles and looks at her hand with a creepy grin and states that she'll be sure to teach her a lesson. If Ophelia can change the past, the future will change as well. But that alone won't be nearly enough to change her entire destiny. We see two maids helping Ophelia take a bath. She exclaimed that she is going to stir up some trouble. The maids hear this and say she's adorable, although she's completely serious. This narrator completely agree with the maids. A maid knocks on the door and declares that the queen has ordered her to bring Miss Ophelia to her palace. The maids whisper to each other that they should tell Lady Galathea about this, but they're not sure as she is praying. The thought of sending the princess there on her own makes them nervous. The queen is moving faster than Ophelia expected, but that's good. She grins and tells the maids she can go by herself. If things goes well, she'll be one step closer to the throne. She has dresses as a humble temple person to look pitiful. The queen is from another country, not Rosentine. She wonders if she looks different as she is a foreigner. The queen is from the Duchy of Port, which is far from Rosentine. She entered a marriage of convenient to the king, so the two countries could form a stronger political relationship. Therefore the Portdays are the most influential family within the Rosentine kingdom. The Queen's son Oscar is the heir to the throne. In the original novel, Oscar was only interested in food and women, and wasn't fit to rule. The Prime Minister was the one who actually handled the affairs of the state, which led to all kinds of political corruption. In the end the kingdom swiftly fell to ruin just as Ophelia did. The Queen and Oscar are obstacles in her path, so she should do something about them first. Inside the Queen's room everything was sparkly and tacky at the same time. It like she's on a TV set that was designed for a rich family in a soap opera. The Queen exclaimed that she has grown a lot since the last time she saw her. The redhead is the Queen of Rosentine Kingdom, Catherine. Ophelia bows and greets her. The Queen then grabs her face and states that unfortunately she hasn't been well at all, because a certain wench has been running her mouth when she should know her place. Catherine sarcastically asked if she really believed she could become a princess if she buttered up His Majesty. She was prepared for this sort of treatment, but now that she's there she's getting really angry, though it's still bearable. The Queen calls her a lowly child of a harlot. Her mother is supposed to serve God, yet she has used her body to seduce the king. She is no better than a beast, says the Queen. Logically she understands why the Queen would think that, and she knows Galathea isn't her real mother. But she is angry that this third-rate villain is calling her a beast. The Queen exclaims that perhaps she should be impressed at a beast like her could give birth to a human girl, although a wicked one. Ophelia smirks and her eyes become blue, and memorizing she states that she gave birth to dull-witted prince. So she supposed she's an expert when it comes to such a matters. Catherine becomes enraged by her words. Ophelia states that she is legally their daughter and a princess. Would that not also make her lowly by association? She exclaims that Lady Galathea is a benevolent person, but she is a lonely daughter, so she cannot help being wicked because she has not taught her any better. The Queen slaps her in her face, causing her to fall on the ground. Ophelia can't believe that she'd hit a child even if she's angry. She lifts her hand, preparing to hit her again, on state that if she wants to be treated like a beast that badly, then so be it. She slapped and stepped on her until she was bloody. Catherine's personality is truly worse than she thought. She grabs her hair and exclaims that back in her homeland there is a saying that whips are the best way to teach a beast a lesson. The Queen warns her that this is her final warning and she won't let her off so easily next time. She wonders if the original Ophelia was subject to such contempt her whole life. Ever since she's returned from the Queen's palace, all she's been thinking about is how she'll get back at the Queen for this humiliation. She lays in bed with a blanket, bandage and bruises on her face. She wonders why won't her divine power surface, and if it's because she's not the real Ophelia. That was the first unpleasant experience she had since she woke up in this world. But she did learn something from it. The Queen had ordered her servant to take Ophelia out because she has ruined her mood, and to bring the Chancellor to her. That's how she discovered the key to her revenge. Galathea had told the king that she has a cold, so she can stay in bed. Soon it will be time for her sweet revenge. She's been waiting for this moment. Suddenly her mother apologizes to her. She smiles and walks away. Ophelia feels this isn't something she should be sorry about, but she's getting angry again. She can't wait to get her revenge on that woman. Ophelia burst inside her father's room. He is surprised to see her. He asked what happened to her face and who did it to her. He noticed that the scratches are from someone's fingernails. The only person he knows that has fingernails long enough to hurt her this badly is the Queen. He asked if the Queen did something to her. She tells him not to be angry because His Majesty was only trying to teach her some manners. She cries and exclaimed that she thinks she might be in danger. The Emperor carries her to the Queen chambers. She had told him that she believed something will happen to the queen because of a dream that she had. She had told him that the good star that protects their kingdom told her that it will be scary when the full moon rises because the star will fade in its light. The good star is dim today, so it won't be able to protect their kingdom. If anything happens to the Queen, Rosentine will fall into a deep sadness. The emperor tells her that it was just a dream and everything will be fine. He orders a guard to open the door. They enter inside onto the emperor's shocked. But to his daughter delight, they found the queen embracing the chancellor in bed. She tells him it isn't what it looks like, but the evidence is all over the place. Their clothes is scattered around the place. He angrily asks, "What is your explanation for all of this?" She noticed Ophelia with him and asked if she had told her about everything. She trembles and hide behind her father. The queen then exclaims that she set her up. The king states that the way she's trembling is because she is in shock after seeing all of this. The king orders her to shut her dirty mouth and Ophelia smirks. She's only paying the price for what she did. The king states that despite her abuse, Ophelia came to protect her, yet she has shifted to blame on an innocent child instead of repenting her actions. The king orders the chancellor to be thrown in prison and lock the queen in her room. She states that he's not aware of the truth. She tells him to look carefully and that child is no woman of the temple. She is a witch. The king tells her to forget everything she just saw, and he was a fool to trust a queen. She thinks he's one to talk when he brought the child he had with his mistress there. In the novel, the queen's affair with the chancellor was first mentioned when Oscar rose to the throne. But she had no idea they were already seeing each other. She made a gamble with the king's trust on the line, and the result was a huge success. The chancellor had been manipulating the kingdom's politics behind the scenes after he went to prison. All the corruption within Rosentine was revealed, and the queen, who had continued to do evil things even in their confinement, ended up locked away in a tower. Because of this incident, her fate changed drastically. She's not sure what the future has in store for her, but one thing she's sure about: she won't be going back to these days when she was confined to the palace temple as the king's illegitimate child.